When the pale lady appears, running isn't enough, the deadly embrace of your soul. Claire Wren stood at the edge of Maple Lake, its surface shimmering like 1,000 fragmented mirrors, each reflecting pieces of a life she couldn't quite recall. The whispers of the townsfolk seeped into her consciousness, heavy with tension and curiosity. They talked, but didn't quite see her. Every murmur was like a blade, sharp and unyielding. That's her, the one who lost everything. The words lingered in the air, suffocating. The golden sunset bathed the quaint town of Elmsworth in a surreal glow, turning the familiar into something oddly disconcerting. The same streets she roamed as a child, now twisted under the weight of something darker. The laughter that once filled these corners was replaced by an uneasy silence, broken only by the creaking of old porch swings, swaying like pendulums, counting down to some inevitable reckoning. Home. Or what was supposed to feel like home, as the flickering street lamps created little pools of light, illuminating faces of friends turned strangers, watching her with a mixture of pity and something darker. An unsettling sensation crawled up her spine. There were whispers about the past that Claire hadn't been privy to, and it felt like the walls were closing in. One night, after too many sleepless hours, she found herself back in her childhood bedroom. Dust motes danced in the beams of moonlight spilling through her window. The bed was still the same quilt, same creaks underfoot, but something was different. It crept over her, thick and cloying, raising goosebumps along her arms. That's when she found the journal. It lay hidden under loose floorboards, its pages yellowed with age, filled with strange, cryptic rants and fragile dreams. Among the words lurked betrayals, whispers of lost love, and hints at dark family secrets. Lines were frayed, unfinished thoughts that echoed like a heartbeat in her ears. As she, a journalist, lurked nearby, watchful and eager, looking for the next big scoop on the girl who lost her past. The pale lady hovered in the periphery of Claire's vision, steadily drawing closer. With each pulse of her heart, she felt the tether to her old life fraying. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Claire held her sister's gaze, the silence thick with everything they had lost. Emma's B. They turned in unison, both startled, hearts racing. It was a sound like thunder on a clear day, immediately followed by a panic-stricken scream. The girls rushed to the window, the moonlight casting eerie shadows across the room. The street was chaos. The townsfolk had gathered around a scene just outside Claire's childhood home. Claire squinted through the glass, her heart sinking. A figure was sprawled on the ground, limbs twisted unnaturally. Claire's heart dropped as she recognized the familiar auburn hair of Sarah. "No," Claire whispered, her breath catching. "Sarah." Before they could process what they'd just witnessed, Claire bolted for the door, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Emma screamed her name, urging her to stop, but Claire didn't listen. She needed to know. She felt the pull of something greater than fear, drawing her toward the horror unfolding outside. Rushing into the night, the cool air bit at her skin. She pushed through the crowd, their eyes. The crowd gasped, collectively, as Sarah's eyes flickered open for a brief moment. "Claire?" A weak voice, barely a whisper. The flicker of hope in Claire's chest ignited. What happened? But then something strange caught Claire's eye. A figure loomed behind the gnashing crowd. The pale lady. Claire's thoughts momentarily scattered. But this time, her presence felt different. Claire froze, feeling every hair stand on end. The lady's long, flowing dress seemed to shimmer and shift like smoke, blending with the shadows. Was she watching? Suddenly, a chill washed over her. "Don't leave me, not like this." But it was too late. The pale moon cast long shadows across the ground, swallowing them as Sarah's breath slowed. And then the crowd went silent. The thrumming of Claire's heart thundered in her ears. Sarah was gone. Rage surged through her. She wanted to scream, to rage against the darkness that loomed over this town. But as Claire stood, there was a loud crack. The ground beneath them shuddered. She felt something shift in the atmosphere, like an unseen force was awakening. A low rumble grew louder, sending chills racing up her spine. "What's happening?" someone shouted, panic rippling through the crowd. Emma gripped Claire's arm, her eyes wide with shock. "Claire, we have to get out of here!" The earth trembled beneath them. Claire felt everything slipping away. Her home, her past, her sister, and the memory she was fighting so hard to reclaim. She couldn't breathe. Then, from the depths of the chaos, see, it was all connected. Her heart raced as a deafening roar echoed from the depths of the earth. People stumbled back, some falling, others scrambling to escape. And Claire was torn, between helping her sister, between finding answers, and the terrifying notion that maybe she was meant to face this. "Claire!" Emma cried again, her face pale. "What do? We can't stay here." Dread blossomed in Claire's chest. With each passing second, she felt the weight of their shared past bearing down harder. "I don't know." The ground shook more violently. Claire grabbed Emma's arm, the fear reflected in her sister's eyes, mirroring her own. Then, from the depths of the chasm, a chilling voice called out, echoing through the night, intertwining with the cacophony of panic. "Claire, it's time to awaken." A rush of images flooded Claire's mind. Images she had buried deep, filled with screams, darkness, and her memories of that horrific night. Her knuckles whitened as she gripped Emma. "We must face it together." But as the darkness swirled, the figure of the pale lady reappeared, closer this time, and the shock on her sister's face crumbled the tiny bit of hope that remained. Claire felt the unbreakable bond tethered to them shift abruptly, unraveling before her. Then the world twisted completely, leaving Claire gasping for clarity in the onslaught of unraveling mysteries. Shocking, terrifying revelations hung heavy in the air. There was no way to prepare for what would come next. And in that instant, she realized one terrible truth. The pale lady was not just a ghost from her nightmares. No, she was something far more complex, something connected to them both. As the ground opened wider, threatening to pull them down into abyssal darkness, Claire knew they faced a reckoning unlike any other. "Claire!" Emma screamed again, fear lacing her voice. And just like that, the world erupted into chaos. They had awakened something more profound than they could ever. Shadows flickered around them, whispers rising like smoke. Claire turned to face the onlookers. Fear etched the locals' faces, eyes wide with horror at the unfolding nightmare. "Help her!" someone called out, breaking through the chorus of cries. But they were all focused on the gaping maw of darkness, the very heart of the night. The voice echoed again, reverberating through the air. "Claire, it's time to awaken." Each word felt like a challenge, calling her to step forward, to unravel the threads of fate that bound her and Emma to this moment. And then she saw it, the Pale Lady. Wisps of her form danced in and out of reality, beckoning from the depths of the abyss. Claire felt an inexplicable connection, as if knowing the Pale Lady was not just about chasing shadows, but confronting a hidden reality. "Look," Emma gasped, pointing into the light. "What's happening?" Claire blinked rapidly. The glowing edges of the fissure began to shimmer with colors, purples, reds, green. As they stared into the chasm, a shadow shifted in the light. Suddenly, a figure emerged, a man with familiar features, eyes piercing through the chaos. He stepped into view, pushing aside the remnants of darkness as if he had emerged from a nightmare come to life. "Dad," Claire whispered, disbelief clawing at her throat. The man who left them, the one who had vanished without explanation. What was he doing here? "Claire, you need to listen to me," he said, urgency coloring his tone. "You have to get Emma and yourself out of here, right now." "Why? What are you doing here?" Claire took a step forward, heart racing. "You've been gone. You left us." "I didn't leave you. I was taken." His voice cracked, anguish spilling into the air. "This place is cursed, Claire. It's calling you, but you don't know what you're inviting back." The crowd around them fell silent, disbelief hanging thick in the air. Emma looked as if she might faint. "You, Dad, you can't be real. You are," Claire screamed, unable to process her sister's denial. "He's here. This is real." "Listen to me," he called back, urgency rising within his words. "The memories you're tapping into, they're dangerous. The Pale Lady isn't just a ghost. She's a conduit, a way for dark forces to break through. It's how I was taken." Claire felt panic rise again. "Taken?" she echoed. "You were supposed to protect us. You just disappeared." "Forget the past," he shouted, desperation lining his face. "You need to focus on what's coming. If you remain here, it will destroy you. She'll take you." The words hung heavy as understanding seeped into Claire's bones. "Who? What will destroy us?" "For too long we've kept the truth buried," her father continued, voice trembling. "The accident that night? It was no accident. It was meant to silence us. The Pale Lady was no mere specter. She was a manifestation of our family's pain, tormenting us to pay for our secrets." Horror flickered across Emma's face. Claire felt the fabric of their reality unraveling. "What are you talking about?" Claire's voice trembled, searching for solidity. "What secrets?" But before he could respond, the earth shook violently. The fissure rumbled, and a harsh wind broke through, sweeping through the crowd. Claire felt herself losing balance, her father's image flickering like a damaged film reel. "Listen to me," he shouted, voice fading. "Trust no one here, not Emma." "What?" Claire's heart stopped. "What do you mean?" "The Pale Lady is not just a curse. You need to understand." But it was too late. The shadows swept in, And in an instant, her father vanished, leaving only the echo of his warning hanging in the air. The crowd screamed, chaos erupting all around. Claire grasped Emma's arm, her breath quickening. "We need to, but the—" Her sister's expression twisted, and for a moment the fear morphed into something else. Anger, betrayal. "Claire, you have no idea what you're doing," Emma shouted back, stepping closer toward the shadows. "You're the reason he left. Everything has happened because of you." "What are you saying?" Claire cried, a lump forming in her throat. "Everything he told you, it's all twisted. I know the truth." Emma's eyes flickered, an otherworldly glow illuminating her features. "You're the one awakening her, the last piece missing to unleash the dark." The ground shuddered violently, a shockwave throwing Claire back as the dark waves surged toward Emma, wrapping around her as if claiming her. "Emma!" Claire cried, reaching out to her sister. "No, you're wrong. We can fight this together." But Emma's expression hardened, shadows creeping along her skin, deepening that anger, that betrayal. "You don't even see it, do you?" Emma's voice twisted. It was colder, sharper. "What?" Claire felt the connection rip away like a knife through flesh, pain lancing through her chest. And just like that, everything shifted. The darkness swept through the crowd, igniting terror. Claire's world spun. For years, she thought Emma was her ally, her rock, but now she stood on the precipice of betrayal and revelation, the shocking truth upending all she believed. "Emma!" Claire yelled as the world around them exploded into chaos, leaving her gasping for clarity amidst darkness. But through it all, a new echo rang clear in Claire's mind, entwined with the shadows calling her deeper. "What have you awakened?" the void whispered, bringing her to the brink of realization. "What will you sacrifice to save them all?" As the realm of darkness beckoned, one horrifying truth settled deep in her heart. Everything she thought she knew about her past and her family was about to unravel. And against the unfurling chaos, Claire realized she stood at the crossroads of destiny. But faces she recognized, now twisted in horror, eyes wide, mouths agape. They were frozen, watching, as if waiting for the dawn to break this nightmare. But it didn't come. The night deepened. "Get back!" someone yelled, pushing through the crowd, desperate to escape the growing darkness. Claire felt dizzy, her heart fluttering like a trapped bird. She had to save Emma, had to understand what was happening. As she surged forward, the shadows at the fissure intensified, swirling violently. She pushed through the throng, her breath quickening. What if Emma was truly lost? What if the Pale Lady took her? Suddenly, the light started to pulse, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. In a matter of seconds, everything shifted again. Claire felt a sudden warmth wash over her, pushing back the cold shadows. A beam of light shot upward, fracturing the darkness like glass. And in that moment, the air changed. It felt alive and charged. "Claire!" a voice called. Her heart surged. "Emma?" "S." Sarah shouted. "But we have to leave now!" Before Claire could respond, the ground beneath them trembled again, an ominous rattle. All she could do was nod, and they turned to run. Together, they stumbled back, weaving through the chaos, but the shadows surged, snapping at their heels. Then, the fissure erupted. A pulsating sphere of light burst forth, engulfing everything in its glow. Claire felt the pull, everything vibrating with energy. It felt like gravity shifted, pulling her in, as if the earth was trying to reclaim what was lost. She grabbed Sarah's hand tightly, eyes wide with fear, but even their connection couldn't fortify the surreal moment. "Sarah, we need to run!" Claire cried, panic coursing through her. Just then, with a deafening roar, figures began to emerge from the fissure, caught between shadow and light. Claire could hardly process it. Men and women, each bearing expressions of torment, stepped forth, but not as mere apparitions. Their features were. Claire felt the world spin, the weight of their family secrets crashing down. "I thought you left us. I thought you were dead." The figures shifted, and in that light, more familiar faces appeared. Cousins, extended family, everyone Claire thought was lost. Before she could grasp the enormity of it, a great force ripped through the crowd, sending a wave of shadowy energy pulsing outward. Claire shielded her eyes, the sound thunderous, like the sky splitting. She felt Sarah grip her hand tighter, but they were lost. Lost in the whirlwind of emerging memories. Everything twisted into a vortex of faces and voices from the past. "Claire!" Her mother's voice trembled. "The answers lie within. The truth is far darker than you can imagine." A chilling scream erupted from the fissure. It was Emma. The night was alive with panic, and Claire turned, desperation clawing at her throat. "Emma!" she screamed, but her sister's cry blended into the cacophony. "In that moment of chaos," she shouted, her voice drowned in the whirlwind, "you aren't meant to do this." No. Emma's voice carried an undertone of something terrifying, something deep. "You brought me back to this. You don't get to run from it." The shadows exploded toward Emma, a wave crashing over her. She stood firm, her face hardened, eyes bright, with determination as if she'd crossed over into something else. Claire's heart shattered anew. "Emma, please," Claire begged, instinctively wanting to reach out, but something held her back. The shadows twisted around Emma like a cocoon, lifting her off the ground. Then came the moment. A figure, a silhouette against the blinding light. It spun, taking form, revealing itself. It wasn't just the pale lady. It was a being beyond comprehension, a swirling embodiment of every heartache, every betrayal. It was part of Claire, part of Emma, part of everything they had tried to bury. Suddenly, in stark contrast, Claire saw the connection she thought S. Everything started to tip into madness. The shadows twisted violently, reality blurring. The earth shook, and as Claire's panic soared, the skies seemed to cave, joining with the darkness encroaching around them. "Claire!" Her mother's figure shimmered, fading as the energy surged. "You must choose. Either you face the truth or let the darkness win." As the light and shadows collided, something snapped awake inside Claire. The memories flooded back, the day they lost everything. The day their father left, the whispers of deeper secrets buried beneath their family. It all led to this moment. Everything was connected, pulling tightly toward an unspeakable truth. Her heart thundered. "Emma, we can confront it. We can change everything." But all Emma did was laugh, a haunting sound like shattering glass. "You don't understand. This is my fate." She surged forward, deeper into the darkness, the shadows wrapping tighter around her. A crushing desperation fell over Claire. What if Emma wasn't just linked to Claire, but to the very heart of the shadows? As the light consumed them, Claire felt something tear within. And just like that, out of the chaos, everything twisted and turned. Shadows became light, pain turned to clarity, and amidst the swirling vortex of reality, she had finally awakened. But not as she imagined. With a final scream, everything went dark. When she opened her eyes next, the world stood still. Everything she thought she knew was in pieces, a fractured reality littered on the floor of her mind. But in that moment, one question rang clear. If Emma was lost to the darkness, what did it mean for Claire? What would she do to reclaim the light? In shock, Claire realized that darkness and light had forever entwined, and the consequences of their choices were far from over. Claire opened her eyes to nothingness. The world hung still, wrapped in a silence thicker than fog. It felt like she was underwater, sound muffled, light dimmed. Where was she? The fissure, had it closed? The dim glow faded to an eerie twilight, and the air felt thick, almost electric. Hello? Her voice trembled, breaking the silence. Nothing. The shadows loomed behind her, flickering like restless spirits eager for release. Claire fought the urge to run, to escape into the comforting dark. But she couldn't, not without Emma. I have to find her, she murmured to herself, determination sparking deep within. As Claire stood, she felt it, an earthquake beneath her feet. It wasn't just the chaos of before. This was something deeper, something alive. The ground rippled, brightening as if responding to a long-buried energy. She took a tentative step forward, drawn to the pulsating glow. "Emma!" she yelled again, desperation clawing at her throat. A glimmer danced at the edge of her vision, drawing her in. The eerie light flickered to life, revealing a path. Claire hesitated only for a heartbeat, then moved forward, heart pounding. What she saw made her heart drop. There, suspended in the air, was a vision. Emma stood at the center, illuminated like an angel, but shrouded by darkness, her features twisted, eyes vacant yet filled with an unfathomable depth. "Emma!" Claire shouted, reaching out. "What's happening to you?" Emma's head turned slowly, but it wasn't the sister Claire recognized. "You shouldn't have come here." Her voice carried a hollow echo that shook Claire to her core. "Don't say that!" Claire took a step forward. "I came to bring you back. We'll face this together." But Emma shook her head, as if trapped within a dream. "You don't understand." A pulse of energy surged from the fissure. It crashed over Claire like a wave, forcing her to shield her eyes. When she could see again, the scene before her shifted. Figures emerged from the shadows, swirling forms she recognized all too well. Claire gasped. It was her family, faces she thought had vanished forever. "Mom," she whispered. "Sta." Claire's heart raced as the echoes of her distant family surrounded her. "I don't understand." "You need to wake up, Claire," her mother continued, urgency threading her words. "The Pale Lady is more than a ghost. She's a connection, a curse intertwined with our blood." Another shift, and Claire felt dizzy. The visions rolled together, each memory crashing upon her. The truth began to unfurl. The accident, the lost family, the secrets they buried. "Emma!" Claire cried out, searching for her sister in the gleaming glow. "You have to fight this!" But Emma faded back, caught in the swirling darkness. "I can't fight it, Claire. It's who I am." "No!" Claire felt anger ignite within her. "You don't belong to the darkness." Then everything changed in an instant. The ground trembled and shadows closed in. Blending together, until a massive figure loomed. Bigger than any concern, monstrous energy radiating from its core. The creature integrated everything they thought they knew. The landscape felt different, colder, darker. There were whispers among the shadows, shapes flickering in and out of existence. And then there was Sarah, standing just a few feet away. Her auburn hair was wild, expression straight, eyes fierce. "You need to listen to me," Sarah said, voice shaky but determined. "Sarah, you're alive!" Relief flooded Claire, but confusion followed quickly. "What are you doing here?" "Trying to save you," Sarah said, stepping closer. Her voice lowered. "You don't know what's about to happen." "What do you mean?" Suddenly, the shadows shifted, revealing a figure, one Claire had never expected to see. It was their father, stepping out from the depths, face twisted in strain, eyes wide. "Dad?" Claire whispered, disbelief washing over her. "Listen close," he said urgently, glancing at the depths of darkness. "The Pale Lady is awakening, and she's not what you think." "What?" Claire's body felt cold. "What do you mean?" "Everything is connect." But before he could answer, the shadows erupted around them. A blinding light shot upwards, twisting like a coiling snake, and Claire felt her body pushed back. "No!" she screamed, clenching her fists as darkness tightened around her. "Trust me," Sarah yelled, pushing through. "We have to fight together." And just then, a loud crack shattered the moment. From the fissure emerged a wave of light that illuminated everything, revealing truths hidden in the dark. Claire gasped, eyes wide. The memories poured in, crashing together, a whirlwind beyond comprehension. They were never just separate lives. "Claire!" Emma's voice echoed as the shadows began to churn around them. "You were chosen." As realization crashed over Claire, a horrifying truth dawned on her. She felt the energy inside her shift. All those moments, all the pain, they weren't just an accident. They were part of something bigger, something within her, intertwined with the darkness. The malignant energy pulse. "You have to choose, Claire. Choose the light before it's too late." Then it all crystallized in Claire's mind. The truth wasn't a shadow at all. It was balance. It was acceptance. The cries of her family blended into a humming cacophony, mingling darkness and light, love and pain. She was bound by them, bound to the darkness and light alike. And then it hit her, like a tidal wave of realization, knocking the breath from her lungs. "Everything," Claire gasped, her heart racing. "It's all connected. The Pale Lady. It's my curse, but also a part of me." Suddenly, the shadows erupted, the wind howled, swirling around, and the inexplicable truth came crashing down in a flood that pulled her to the brink. In the depths of turmoil, Claire now stood tethered to the past, her family, their stories, the secrets they shared. Then, suddenly, the figure of the Pale Lady materialized within the shadows, radiating a deep, chilling energy that wrapped around Claire's soul, transforming her. This time, Claire was suspended in the void of her mind. Confusion spiraled as the everlasting silence filled her senses, choking her. Was she lost? Was this the end? Or just the beginning of an unimaginable truth waiting to unfold? With that question hanging thick in the air, Claire knew one thing. The path ahead was uncertain, and time was running out. She had to awaken the truth within. Claire's eyes fluttered open. The dark was thick, wrapping around her like a heavy blanket. She sat up, confusion spiraling in her mind. Everything felt fragmented, as if she was a puzzle with pieces scattered everywhere. A stillness filled the air, echoing her racing heart. What had happened? "Claire!" A voice cut through the silence, sharp and steady. "Sarah?" Claire called out hoarsely, her throat dry. She rubbed her eyes, trying to shake off the fog. But it wasn't just Sarah. Other figures hovered, their faces blurred, yet oddly familiar. She shook her head, trying to regain fog. Sarah stepped closer, eyes wide with urgency. "But we need to move now!" Claire blinked, the scene shifting around her. "What happened to Emma? I can't lose her too." But Sarah's expression froze. "We can't think about that right now. We have to get out before it's too late." "Wait!" Claire grabbed Sarah's arm, feeling the pulse of fear radiating from her friend. "Where's Emma? Why are you panicking? What's going on?" Sarah hesitated, her gaze faltering. She's in the darkness, Claire. We have to save her." But not. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the ground. The shadows twisted like a living thing. The hiss of whispers grew louder, echoing Claire's growing anxiety. "What are they saying?" She pressed her hands to her ears, trying to block out the noise. "They're warning us," Sarah replied, eyes darting around. "We can't let Emma be taken. The Pale Lady is hunting her. She wants to pull her into her depths permanently." Claire felt ice climb up her spine. "We can't abandon her. I need to save my sister." But the ground lurched again, and Claire stumbled, falling to her knees. The whispers turned into screams, piercing and haunting. "What's happening?" The shadows wriggled, forming shapes that were almost human. Claire squinted, fear pulling her closer to the abyss. "What are you?" Sarah grabbed Claire's shoulders, shaking her gently. "You're linked to this. We can also draw you in." But as Claire struggled against the oppressive fear, a bright flash erupted around them. Figures pulled towards the bent light, faced. Familiar faces. Claire gasped as she recognized them. Her entire family, their faces bright yet trembling with anguish. "Mom?" Claire cried, reaching out. "Is that really you?" "Claire, listen carefully." Her mother's voice broke through the noise. "The darkness has taken too much already. You must confront it, or you'll lose everything." "Everything?" The word tasted bitter on Claire's tongue. "Wah!" Shadowy figures flickered before her, churning like a storm. She squinted, trying to focus as despair tightened around her chest. "No!" Claire screamed. "You won't take anyone else." But the shadows roared, responding to her defiance. An intense wave flew from the fissure, knocking Claire backward. She gasped, heart racing, as she struggled to find her footing amidst the chaos. "Claire!" The voice drifted through the tempest. "Emma," just beyond reach. Claire's breath caught. "Emma!" She pushed herself up. "Don't give in! Fight them!" But Emma's voice faltered. "I'm trying, I can't." Then from the edge of the darkness, the Pale Lady emerged. Her figure flickered, gliding like smoke, but this time her face was clear. Claire felt a chill seep deep into her bones. The Pale Lady's eyes glinted like stars, cold, calculating. "Leave her be!" Claire shouted, feeling something snap inside her. "You can't control her. We're not afraid of you." The Pale Lady's lips curled. "Ah, but fear is a dark ally, and most potent in the face of the truth." Claire swallowed hard. "What truth?" The darkness pulsed around them, fragments of memories surfacing with every beat, pulling at her soul. She felt dizzy, grasping for answers, while everything spun out of control. "Don't listen to her!" Sarah cried, her voice frantic. "She lies! She feeds on fear!" The shadows surged, and just like that, another figure appeared. This one was shrouded in mist, but it stepped forward, its face revealing itself. Claire's stomach dropped. "Dad?" It was truly him, yet distorted, almost as if you were caught between two worlds. "Claire," he said with a seriousness that sent tremors through her, "you must listen to me. The Pale Lady is not simply a spirit of revenge. She represents our family's deepest fears, our regrets." The shadows roared, surrounding him. "Don't trust him!" came the echoing voices of her family, their forms twisting and writhing. "He is lost, just like I did." Claire's heart raced. "Embrace what?" "They took me because I sought to control the darkness, to use it." He looked at her with an intensity that felt suffocating. "Don't make my mistake. You still have a choice, to emerge into light instead." "Stop!" Claire shouted. "You're lying!" But the Pale Lady chuckled. "You want the truth, Claire? Then meet it." She gestured toward an infinite dark void that glimmered like a wound. In a sudden, overwhelming rush, shadows erupted from it, pulling the air into a deafening silence. Claire's heart thundered in her chest. She stumbled, trying to stand her ground, but the pressure built, forcing her closer to the edge. "Claire, we must go," Sarah shouted, grabbing her arm. But Claire resisted. "Let me go," she screamed, the urge to dive into the darkness clawing at her. "I need to save Emma. I can't leave her." The figures of her family waved in and out of the shadows. "You're making a mistake. Come back," they cried, their voices overlapping, a cacophony of despair. Then the ground tore apart beneath her, an unseeable force pulling her down. A split second of clarity hit her, drowning everything else. "Emma!" Claire yelled, reaching out desperately. "I won't lose you. I'll find a way." But as she cried out, the shadows shifted. In a blink, everything went dark again. This time, when the light returned, it revealed a horrifying truth. Emma's face was different, her expression wild, eyes shining bright but unsettling. "You don't understand, Claire. You need to let go," she cried, reaching out. "Let go?" Claire echoed, confusion washing over her. And then came the shock. Ruthlessly, Emma's eyes flickered. "You can't save anyone. I am the darkness. I've become what I was meant to be." "What?" Claire's heart sank, ice flooding her veins. "No, you can't mean that." But Emma's laughter echoed in the void. It was a sound that froze Claire's soul. "We are the embodiment of our blood, and the Pale Lady is only the beginning. Don't you see? I am the darkness you fear. I've accepted what we are." Claire's breath quickened as the shadows began to pulse with heightened energy. "No, you're my sister." "But I've embraced the shadows," Emma shouted, shadows coiling around her. "She called to me, and I answered. This is our fate." The ground lurched violently, sending jolts through Claire's body. "Emma, fight it, please." Claire's voice cracked, desperation spilling out. Tears blurred her vision. But Emma squared her shoulders. "You don't understand. I'm finally free." With this, the darkness surged around Emma, lifting her high into the air. The light flickered, and the sharpness of the moment cut through Claire. "Emma, no!" Claire cried out, panic flooding her system. She pulled Sarah close, heart pounding. "We have to stop this." The shadows howled, A chilling chant, re. It surrounded them like a storm. Before Claire could respond, another wave of energy rose, and everything blurred. The feelings pressed inside her, and she realized it all felt like a masquerade. With horror, she saw Emma, now entirely enveloped in shadow, eyes glowing with an alien light. "You never understood, did you, Claire?" Emma said, voice mingled with darkness. "You were never meant to escape. We were chosen. This is our legacy." Chosen? Claire's heart raced. Chosen for what? To drown in the dark. Suddenly, the shadows began to pull tighter, winds ripping through the air. Claire's thoughts turned chaotic. The lines between reality twisted. Could she really lose her sister to this madness? The darkness glimmered with corrupted energy, intertwining with Claire's own fear, feeding on her doubts. The pale lady's voice rang out, mixing with Emma's. "Join us, Claire! We were meant for this!" "No!" Claire screamed, her heart breaking. She dropped to her knee. With that, everything went black. Claire was swallowed whole, heart racing, knowing she hadn't just lost her sister. She had unleashed something devastating, an eye-opening reality that now felt all too real. And deep within, she knew the fight was far from over. Claire was swallowed whole, heart racing, knowing she hadn't just lost her sister. She had unleashed something devastating, an eye-opening reality that now felt all too real. All around her was darkness, thick, overwhelming. It pressed down on her like a weight. The echo of Emma's laughter filled the void, taunting her, reminding her of the bond they once shared. But now, that bond felt like a frayed rope, teetering on the edge. "Emma!" Claire yelled into the abyss. The sound bounced back at her, an empty reminder of how alone she felt. Panic surged through her veins. She had to find her sister, find a way to pull her back. Time warped. The whispers around her intensified, becoming a cacophony of voices, free, something sinister. The shadows danced feverishly around her, clouding her features in chaos. "Emma, please!" Claire's heart raced. "Fight it! Don't let it take you!" But as she reached out, something invisible pulled her back, causing her to stumble. The sharpness of panic clawed at her throat. It felt like the ground was collapsing beneath her, each tremor resizing reality. The pale lady materialized beside Emma now, her ethereal form twisting, shimmering with malevolence. "She cannot escape, Claire. Neither can you." Her voice echoed around them, filled with a sickening calmness. "You are part of this." "No!" Claire screamed, desperation consuming her. "She's my sister. You can't take her." But the darkness roared fiercely, drowning out her protest. The shadows twisted and turned, reshaping the world around her. Claire felt tears prickling at her eyes, thick with the taste of fear and anguish. Suddenly, the light shifted, revealing fragmented images, snaking through. With a flicker, her mother appeared among the shadows, whispering softly, yet urgently. "You must break the cycle, Claire. The truth lies beneath, within your blood." "No!" Claire cried, stepping back. "I can't! What truth?" But the words began to swirl around her, pulling her under like a whirlpool. "Embrace what you are," the pale lady chanted, her voice twisting into something else, something darker. "You hold the key." "I hold nothing," Claire shouted, defiantly. "I won't let you take my sister." Just then, a powerful surge of energy radiated through the fissure, crashing over them in a tidal wave. Lights swirled and flashes erupted everywhere. Claire felt herself teetering on the edge of reality. She had no idea what was happening, but it felt destructive. And then, in a blinding flash, everything froze. The chaos stilled. In the suspended moment, memories flashed behind her eyes. Memories of family gatherings, laughter shared, secrets whispered in hushed tones. Each shadows began thrashing within the light, pushing it back. But Claire couldn't take her eyes off Emma. Something was off. A sickness seeped through her sister's words. Fear and resignation mingled together. The fissure erupted again, brighter this time. The shadows seemed to recoil from the light, but then something unexpected happened. "Come with me," a familiar voice rang out. "Dad," Claire gasped as another figure emerged. Her father, standing tall, drenched in light and shadows. But his eyes looked different. They were deep, vast, filled with an energy that felt deceptive. "Claire, Emma," he shouted, "you are the chosen ones. It's time to accept your destiny, to channel the power inside you." "Destiny?" Claire echoed, confusion mingling with dread. "What are you talking about?" "You have the strength to control the darkness," he continued, his voice unwavering. "All those secrets, they're a part of you. Embrace them." Suddenly, a crack of realization struck Claire. The pale lady surged forward, wrapping around her father. The pale lady smirked, her energy mingling with his. "You see, Claire, your father and I, we are bound by this darkness together. You are his legacy." Claire stumbled backward, shock reverberating through her body. "No, you're lying. This can't be true." "Choose, Claire," her father urged, his voice reverberating with a maddening clarity. "Join us with the power of the dark and end the cycle." Then everything shifted. The ground shook again, tossing Claire off balance. Suddenly, the figures began to twist, meld, and fade, their forms intertwining into a swirling vortex of light and shadow. "Stop this!" Claire screamed, reaching for Emma, panic rising. "Fight it!" But rage boiled inside Claire, betrayal and sorrow intertwined. In that moment, reality fractured. The echoes of her family's laughter twisted into cries of anguish, their faces morphing into anguished forms. "Let go, Claire! Please let go!" they cry. Then suddenly, everything shattered to pieces. A kaleidoscope of colors burst forth, a tangible force pulling at Claire's essence. She fought it, struggling, grappling for balance as shadows tugged at her heart. But there was no way to grasp it fully. And that's when it hit her, the darkest secret of all. "Your mother," the pale lady hissed, her voice cutting through the chaos. "She was the first to awaken the darkness. She sealed herself away for you." "No!" Claire screamed, feeling the cold grip tighten around her heart. The pain it brought felt unbearable, crushing her chest as memories pierced through. "You lie! You took her!" The light exploded, tearing through the shadows. Claire's breath caught. In that moment, she saw it all. Clarity, the hidden truth, buried beneath the weight of it all. But in the midst of chaos, while her eyes were locked on the pale lady, a figure emerged. Her mother again, but this time, her eyes were different. They glowed with truth, paradise or darkness. The shadows roared, circling tighter. Choose now! The pale lady shrieked, her voice distorted. Around her, faces twisted in urgency. Emotions exploded. Anger, pain, desperation. She felt the weight of their history pulling her down. But still Claire stood her ground. "Then I choose the light," she yelled, unleashing the words that felt both new and ancient. The declaration shook the air with power. In that moment, the shadows recoiled. The light clashed fiercely. The figures around her began to dissolve, revealing the truth beneath. The reality she had always known was distorted. The family she thought was there to guide her now whirled into chaos. But as everything closed in, Claire couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. What if letting go meant losing Emma? What if embracing the shadows meant losing herself? Yet the light surged forward, a blistering wave cascading around them, and Claire felt herself being pulled again. The darkness and light, but the choice felt heavier than a mountain. Would she step into the light or succumb to the darkness? "Embrace what you are," the pale lady taunted, her voice a seductive whisper that clawed at Claire's resolve. "You are of this place. You belong." "No," she shouted, fighting against the oppressive grip of fear. Her mind raced, memories flickering like fading stars. Mom's warning, Dad's betrayal, Emma submerged in shadow. "I won't let you take either of us." The ground shook violently beneath her, sending vibrations through her bones. The air thickened, charged with electricity. In that frozen moment, everything shimmered, and Claire felt something shift inside her. A flicker of light, daring to shine against the encroaching darkness. "Together, Claire!" Emma's voice rang out, pushing through the cacophony. "Let's face them. We can do this." She caught a glimpse of her sister, illuminated against the swirling shadows. But Emma's eyes weren't just gleaming. They were, what? "I found my place." The tension snapped. Claire felt it, a horrible realization cascading over her like ice water. "What do you mean?" she gasped, her breath catching. "You're letting it win!" The shadows surged, and the pale lady's laughter echoed through the storm. "This is just the beginning. She is awakening." Awakening! Claire's pulse quickened, adrenaline surging like fire through her veins. "What have you done, Emma?" But instead of answering, Emma stepped closer to the light, shadows swirling around her like silk. "Join me, or stay lost." Everything exploded. The ground cracked, sending shards of earth flying. Claire stumbled, losing her balance. The fissure beneath widened, revealing a swirling abyss. The air thickened with an unshakable weight. And then, Claire saw it, a massive shadow rising from the void, bigger than anything she'd faced. It towered, an embodiment of their worst fears, threatening to pull them into the depths. "Run!" Sarah screamed. The shadows roared, and just as Claire prepared to leap forward, a blinding light erupted from the fissure. It swallowed everything whole, ripping through the darkness like paper, searing, overwhelming. Claire shielded her eyes, feeling the energy crackle through her veins. All at once, a figure emerged. Drenched in light, it stood against the dark. Claire squinted, trying to comprehend who or what it was through the chaos. "Stop!" It was Emma, but not the same Emma. She glowed with a fierce intensity that felt wholly unrecognizable. Power surged from her, merging with the shadows that danced insistently around her. "Claire!" she shouted, a cry filled with grit and raw determination. "Help me!" "Help you?" Claire's brow furrowed, standing firm against the confusion. "You're not the same." You need to fight, not become one with this chaos. Emma shook her head. Shadows tangled fiercely around her. You don't understand. This is who we are. I was always meant for this. The world seemed to spin, colors merging until everything became a swirling mess. Embrace, become, echoed the haunting voice of the pale lady, wrapping around them, drawing Claire and Sarah in. With another surge of energy, the shadows merged into one horrifying silhouette. The figure surged forward, a shape both recognizable and terrifying, flipping memories upside down. "Dad!" Claire screamed, throat tight. "But you were gone!" He materialized, eyes swirling with a mixture of shadow and light, the figure blurring between truths. "I'm here, Claire. I'm always here, and it's time to reclaim what's ours." "What do you mean, ours?" Just then, the shadows flickered, and a colossal wave crashed against them, engulfing, suffocating. The air turned black, swirling wind battering against Claire's body, forcing her to scream as darkness drowned out the light. For an endless moment, panic surged within. Was this it? Would she lose both her father and her sister to the depths? If we stay here, we'll be consumed. Claire felt the pain slice through her. It felt like losing Emma all over again. "No!" Claire cried, wrenching her gaze away. "I won't leave her!" But as she shouted, another eruption roared forth. The shadows faded. Claire stumbled, grasping at the moment, fighting against the tide. And then she saw it. From the darkness, another figure emerged, a laugh resonating, chilling to her core. It was Emma once again, but something had shifted. The shadows behind her merged and deepened, stretching out into claws extending toward Claire. "Join me," Emma's voice rang out, filled with an unsettling blend of charm and danger. "Become part of this. You don't want to lose your true self." Claire's heart dropped, not just for Emma, but for herself. "You can't mean that," she shouted, panic surging through her. "You're my sister!" Suddenly, the world shook, cracks splitting the air. But then, everything shifted. Those shadows began to reveal this can't be true. And with that understanding came an explosion of rage. The shadows twisted. Chaos raged like a living beast. In that moment, Claire realized the darkness wasn't simply a curse. It was a part of them, a history they had all inherited but never understood. And then everything changed. Claire watched as Emma's glowing form erupted forth, intertwining with the darkness, radiating energy so powerful it consumed the light entirely. But as all hope began to fade black, Claire saw something else shift beside Emma, a figure bubbling to the surface. Someone else. "Mom?" Claire's voice faltered, a gasp echoing through uncertainty. "Yes." Her mother's voice dripped from the shadows, emerging as they merged into a new form. "It's time you understand." Stunned, Claire shook her head, disbelief curdling in her stomach. "What do you mean?" "Everything you believe is wrong. All of it. The choice, the darkness. I made a decision long ago. I never meant for you to. No." Claire felt despair wrapping around her. The shouting rose. The figures around them twisted into frantic gestures, cries rising amid chaos as her mother transformed into something unrecognizable. "Let me go! This isn't our truth anymore!" Emma yelled, fierce and defiant, but it was too late. The light exploded, a collision of forces that rocked Claire backward. "No," she whispered, the darkness threatening to swallow everything. And then, silence. Amidst the quiet, Claire's reality shattered again. The faces she had trusted morphed, revealing veils of deception hidden beneath. "Choose!" The voices roared, imprinted in Claire's mind, shadows dancing wildly. And then came that awful whisper again, a thread reverberating through her heart, piercing its clamoring. "You are the key," the pale lady cooed. "What will you become, Claire?" In that breathless moment, everything was uncertain, leaving Claire drowning in an ocean of chaos. The fate of her family, balance. "Join me. Don't you see, Emma?" Claire called back, desperation clawing at her throat. "You're lost in this darkness. I can't follow you." The air crackled with tension. Shadows writhed like restless serpents, stretching toward Emma, pulling her deeper into the abyss. Claire's heart raced, fear mingled with resolve. "Mom, help us!" Claire yelled, looking around for any flicker of hope. The ground trembled, and the faces of her family swirled amidst the darkness, pleading for clarity. "Break the cycle!" her mother urged, her voice filled with authority. "You have the power to mitigate the damage. This isn't just about us," Claire shouted, clenching her fists. "It's about everyone who's been hurt." Suddenly, the pale lady stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with malevolence. "You're so certain, Claire. But what if the darkness is where your destiny lies?" "No!" Claire felt her heart pound relentlessly. "I won't let you control me." Then, in an instant, everything... Shadows danced wildly, and the ground erupted. From the depths, an eerie silence fell, consuming every sound. And as the chaos settled, Claire saw it, a figure emerging from the light. Her heart dropped. Dad? It was him, but this time he was not alone. A stunning realization crashed down on her. He was not just her father. He was intertwined with the pale lady. "Claire," he spoke, an otherworldly resonance escaping his lips. "I've always been part of this. The darkness was never gone. I was made for it." The horror clawed at her. You've been manipulated." With a wave of his hand, the shadows morphed and twisted. "No, Claire. This is my legacy, your birthright." "What?" Claire gasped, stepping back as disbelief washed over her. "You're telling me you chose this?" "Yes," he replied, his voice thick with conviction. "The darkness has never been evil. It's power, a power we can harness." A wave of unease crashed over Claire. "You've been lying this whole time." The figures around them shifted, faces flickering, revealing long-buried truths. The shadows began to recede slightly, giving a hint of hope. "Trust him," Emma cried, her extended hand beckoning Claire closer. "You can't fight what we are. This is transcendence." "No," Claire's voice trembled. "You're wrong, Emma. This isn't freedom." In that moment, a powerful surge rippled through the ground. The abyss trembled, and shadows rushed toward her, hungry for control. "Face your fear," the pale lady sneered, dark rays illuminating her features. "You are bound to this." As the darkness attempted to swallow her whole, Claire felt warmth spread through her heart. It was courage, the memory of love, laughter, and bonds that ran deeper than blood. "Stop!" Claire shouted, forcing herself to stand tall against the encroaching darkness. "I am not your puppet." And then it happened. A shock wave of light erupted from Claire, blinding the shadows momentarily. "The faces of her fae!" Claire shouted, every ounce of her being surging with determination. But just as the last tendrils of darkness began pulling away, an unimaginable vision flashed before her eyes. In the chaotic light she saw it, her mother with the pale lady, intertwined, laughing together. "Mom!" Claire gasped, the revelation shattering her heart. "You knew all this time?" And with that truth, everything shifted. The whole foundation of their family crumbled. In that moment, Claire felt the ground beneath her begin to break apart. "Claire, you need to understand," her mother's voice echoed, distorted. "You are the key to this power. Without you, we cannot move forward." "Forward?" Claire cried, drenched in disbelief. "You've been lying to me my whole life. This isn't the legacy I want." The shadows roared, and the pale light pulsed. The ground shook violently, sending Claire sprawling to her knees. "Fool!" the pale lady hissed. "You can't deny who you are, who you were born. It is your birthright. You can be stronger than what frightens you." The air crackled with energy, and shadows coiled tighter, threatening to envelop her completely. "I'm not afraid of you," Claire roared, feeling it deep within. "I will take my family's legacy and turn it against you." As if to challenge her, the darkness surged forward with all its fury. But Claire stood firm, refusing to yield. With every ounce of her strength, she summoned the light from within. It erupted like an unstoppable force, blinding the shadows. But then came a shock, a twist. The atmosphere shifted suddenly, like flipping a page in a book, and Claire found herself somewhere else entirely. The light faded, replaced by an all-consuming darkness. She looked around and saw it. There, silhouetted against the bleakness, were her family. But they looked different, their faces twisted in anguish, eyes filled with malevolence. "Claire, come to us," they beckoned, but their voices sounded wrong. "Phil." But as she fought against them, she felt the darkness wrapping tighter, pulling her down. Confusion flooded through her veins. Was this truly her fate? As the ground trembled beneath her once more, another shocking truth crashed upon her. "Claire," a voice whispered, one she had never expected. It was Emma, standing before her but shrouded in shadows. "This is your destiny. We are destined to merge." Merging? Horror twisted within Claire. "You can't be serious," she gasped. "You're my sister." "Yes," Emma said softly, eyes gleaming with something more profound. "But I have embraced the darkness, just as you are meant to." Before her eyes, Emma transformed, morphing into the essence of the pale lady, becoming one with the shadows. "Together, we can lead this power into a new era." Claire stumbled back in disbelief. You can't mean that. I will lose you." But as the truth sank in, the darkness surged again, the shadows collapsing around her. Claire understood. She would forge her own path. But could she uncover the truth before it consumed everything? That mystery wrapped around her like a shroud, pulling her deeper into the unknown as the shadows danced ever closer, ready to reclaim what was theirs. Claire took a breath, feeling the energy surge within her. She faced the darkness head-on, knowing this was her moment to transform fear into power. Shadows danced around her, teasing her with doubts and memories. But something ignited inside, a flicker of determination. She had to reclaim her sister. "Emma," she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You can fight this. I believe in you." With those words, Claire felt those ties, the connection that had always bound them as sisters. The shadows wrapping around Emma flickered, revealing glimpses of the sister Claire knew. "You're not lost," Claire shouted again. "You're with me. We're stronger together." The darkness twisted and roared, sending a pulse of chilling winds. Suddenly, a surge of light erupted from Claire's core, expanding like a sun breaking through the darkest night. It illuminated every shadow, every twisted face. All at once, Claire felt the weight of her family's legacy, their pain and their choices. But this was not her fate. "I will not let fear control me. Not anymore," Claire screamed, every word igniting the air around her. The shadows hissed, recoiling. In that blinding light, Emma's expression changed. The anger and despair melted away as her eyes widened, catching the spark of hope. "Claire," she whispered. "Yes, just trust me." Claire's heart raced, the bond between them pulling tighter, shimmering with possibility. Then the air shifted. Emma stepped slightly away from the shadows, the darkness closing in on her. A surge of energy exploded from Claire, crashing into the shadows, forcing them back. The ground trembled beneath them. "Fight it," Claire shouted, dedicating her entire being to pulling her sister. The shadowy world stilled. In that stillness, they both felt it. The bond of sisterhood stretching across the void, stronger than the dark. And then, with a roaring rush, light exploded from their hearts. An incandescent wave surged through the darkness, sending a shock wave that rippled across the battlefield. "Claire! Emma!" Several voices cried out, merging together. Not just family, but the entire town. Claire felt the hopes and dreams of everyone wrapped around her as she fought to pull her sister back into the light. "There it is," Claire whispered, tears streaming down her face. "There's the Emma I know." Emma gasped, facing the truth buried deep within. I remember." "Yes, hold on to that. Let it guide you," Claire cried, watching as Emma wrestled with the darkness swirling around her. With each pulse of light, Claire pushed harder, feeling energy rise, illuminating their surroundings. The darkness shrank back, howling, as if it feared the unity. "You are fierce! Fight back!" Emma's gaze zeroed in on Claire. Something shifted in her expression, a flicker of the girl who longed for freedom. "We can do this together!" she shouted back, determination igniting. With one final explosion of light, their power fused, a beacon slicing through the darkness. The shadows shrieked, swirling and twisting in agony, until with one thundering crack, they shattered. The light surged, engulfing everything in a radiant glow. For a moment, nothing seemed real. Then as the shadows dissipated, Claire felt the warmth of her sister beside her. "Claire!" Emma laughed, tears shining in her darkened eyes. "We did it!" Together, they slowly turned. The remnants of nightmares melted away, revealing a crowd of townsfolk, their faces lighting the way. Relief settled in the air. The curse had been lifted, and the bond between sisters was stronger than ever. "You found her!" Sarah exclaimed, beaming in disbelief. All around, whispers of amaze. It took time to face the truth. With each day, they would heal together. In the coming weeks, the town absorbed the fallout, confronting their collective history with renewed hope. Revelations echoed through every corner, every heart. They opened conversations long buried, healing bonds that darkness had tried to sever. Claire felt a sense of belonging. Her family was not just about bloodlines, but heartstrings too. It would take effort, and the shadows would always linger like distant memories. But now, standing together with Emma, she understood that shadows could be conquered with light and love. As they moved forward, Claire reached out to her community, sharing their story. Their roots intertwined, threading hope through what was once lost. Years later, as she stood by Maple Lake, watching the sun set, Claire breathed in the cool air, reflecting on everything they had faced. "Together we rise," she whispered, knowing certainty would always clash with doubt. As the stars